This Ecims training demo is targeted for drug education coordinators, clinical pharmacists, or other equivalent roles. We will provide you an overview of the functionality within Ecims. Please note that some of the default views or options may vary based on your regional configuration settings or other state regulations or guidelines. Your training topics are logging into Ecims, initiative details, member initiative status, pharmacist conversion approval review, prescriber initiative approval status, member initiative type status, and the export failed conversion report. Each of these will be discussed in detail. We will access the Ecims application through your web browser. Use the address or link provided to you specifically for your region. Then use your single sign-on and UID and password to log in to the application. You'll be presented with a blank page except for these tabs or pages noted above. We're going to first go to initiative details. Once you click on the tab, you'll be presented with the active initiatives in your region. You'll see it defaults to your region code as well as the status of active. Each of the initiatives are listed with columns of information. Priority, that's how they're posted, as well as the status. Since we're only looking at active, the green dot appears. You'll notice up in the legend there's two additional icons, failure and completed. If those icons appear, those only apply to retracted initiatives. Depending on your role, you may be able to have different access as far as editing. I'm going to go ahead and go to one specific initiative and select filter. As I said, you may be able to edit initiatives depending on your role. I need to see more details. So on the right, I click on see more details and a scroll bar appears. I can now scroll to the right and see further information regarding this initiative. I can see the NUID of the manager who created this initiative and any system updates or other updates. I'm going to select history. This expands an area. If there was any updates, I might be able to see some changes such as dates, medical centers. Anything that is changed on this initiative would be shown here. Click close and that will collapse that view. If you want to narrow down your list, you can always select by medical center. You could always filter by the start date or the end date and just select filter. That is initiative details. Click on member initiative status. This page is specifically to search and view the record of an individual patient or member. You do need to have their MRN. You can search by the MRN and an initiative or just strictly the MRN, but you can't search by initiative alone. Once I've selected filter, you'll notice I have edit, view, history, and delete options. I can see the prescriber has approved this member for this therapeutic conversion. There are going to be different reasons why you may want to edit or change this approval. I'm going to select the See More Details link. This brings up a scroll bar where I can scroll to the right and see additional information that may be applicable. Let's select Edit. The Edit Member Initiative Status area appears, and now I have some options. I can either change the prescriber approval. So let's say they contacted you because they've recently had an appointment and decided to deny this member for the conversion after all. Or the member presents at the pharmacy and your local pharmacist contacted you to change it to a denial. The denials do need to be documented to prevent the same member from being submitted to this initiative again. Once you select the D for denial, your first option is to select either pharmacist or prescriber. Based on the reason for this change, we're going to select prescriber. In the drop down, I've selected allergic to preferred drug, but any of those choices you can make. If you do select the other option, it is a free-form text field to type in something appropriate for the denial reason. I'm going to go ahead and go back to allergic and select the apply. I'll be returned to the edit page and I can see the D as well as my selected option. However, these changes will not apply until I hit update. So you'll see the update button. You want to make sure to click on that, and you've successfully updated the record if you see the green bar at the top. Now we can go ahead and scroll to the right and see the denial, the allergic preferred drug. If I click on view history, this is where you can see the change from approved to denial, the NUID of the person who made the change. This helps track back as needed. Let me go and go back. I'm going to select close to collapse that area. And that's the member initiative status page. I've typed in an MRN, but that member was not found on any initiative. So I want to add them to an initiative I'm working on. I'm going to select the Add New Member Initiative Status button. And then when the window comes up, the first thing I'm going to do is find my initiative. Then I'm going to type in that member's prescriber. So as you type, go ahead and select them from the drop-down list. You do have to select either a prescriber approval status or a member approval status. I'm going to choose no information because I want to put a number of MRNs in and then connect with the prescriber and approve them later. I've typed in my MRN and hit my tab key on my keyboard, and in a second Ecims will validate the MRN is entered correctly, and you can see there's a number of fields I can continue entering MRNs. Over here there are two buttons to select. They both accomplish the same thing, submit the member to this initiative. However, the submit and add more MRNs will just leave you on this page so you can continue similar work. I'm going to choose Add New Member Initiative Status. This will submit my member, but take me to the page where I can see that it was successfully recorded. You see at the top the green bar, record is added successfully. You can see the MRN and my selected choice of no information in the prescriber approval column. I can always edit this here and change it to approved once I've connected with the prescriber. Selecting approved or changing to approved will send the prescription to Ecims for processing. Please note that using this method of adding a member to initiative will not send your prescriber a notification. The approval status change will need to be done manually. The Pharmacist Conversion Approval Review page, also known as PHCAR, is where you enter status changes for your prescribers. I'm going to select the initiative I'm working on from the drop-down list. And I can narrow down by prescriber, service area, medical center if I wanted to. I'm just going to choose the initiative, and any of the patients and their prescribers will be listed below. So you'll see where there's a drop down for pending prescriber review. So if I choose approve, you'll notice it wants me to enter in a prescriber. Even if the prescriber is shown, you still need to type a name in. This is helpful if you're entering a approval for a prescriber, say, who's on leave. You can choose a different prescriber in the drop down. Even if it's the same prescriber name, you still have to search and enter it. If I choose denied, either by pharmacist or prescriber, I do need to select a denial reason. Our usual items are shown here, as well as the other option of the freeform text field. So if I go down, I'm going to go ahead and look for a different member for that particular patient. Once again, I'm searching for the prescriber name. The facility and specialty are shown. You can change the date and the time. You'll scroll to the bottom left where you'll see your submit button. This will submit any changes that you have made to the page. You'll see a green bar appear briefly that says you successfully updated. It leaves you on this page to continue working the list of patients on this initiative or go to another initiative. Let's go into some more detail on the PHCAR page. I'm going to select an initiative from the drop-down, and as mentioned, you have a lot of options to filter. So depending on the size of the initiative, it may be prudent to, say, only work patients or information from one prescriber. So I'm going to go ahead and select a prescriber from my drop-down search. But I do have a conversion category I can search from. A current status, where is this prescription status at? So you have various items to select from in this list. So for example, the approved has been sent to Ecims. Depending on your region, you may have various service areas that you can narrow down as well. You can also, if this is applicable in your information, to choose by medical center or the prescriber's facility, as well as the pharmacy ID store number. So my example here, I'm going to go ahead and choose approved, sent to Ecims. So for this initiative, for this provider, I have one member who's been sent for approval. I'm going to go ahead and export this list. It's going to export to a CSV file, which will launch your Excel program. The file name is always the same, so you'd want to, if you need to save them, to put them under a different file name. But once it generates the report and opens, you'll see there are various column headers of information from the initiative name to the prescriber who approved, or whatever the selected filter was. But you have all types of information regarding each line item and each member. One thing that might be handy are the patient's information that is listed here as well, such as their mailing address and phone number. So this document can be used in a mail merge program, for example, to send your therapeutic conversion notices to the members. So this exports to Excel, and you can go ahead and save it and use the file as needed. So that's our PHCAR page. There may be a time where your region enters in an initiative that is strictly manual, meaning you'll track the approvals, you'll print the prescriptions, and manually scan them into Ecims. So I've selected a manual initiative from my drop-down. You'll see that those that are approved have print. If they've been printed already, you'll see reprint as an option. You can choose the button to print all of the prescriptions on the page that have been approved. They do need to be marked approved, but similar to electronic ones, you can enter in the prescriber's choice from these drop-down lists. So I'm going to go ahead and select print. You'll see the prescription that appears is noted at the top that says this is a hard copy for scanning into Ecims. The prescription has all the pertinent information required, as well as a reference to the old KPRX that has been now converted. So this is the prescription that you can now take and then scan into Ecims following the normal manual RX conversion process. I'm going to close the box. Please note you do need to select approved before you can print the prescription for scanning manually into Ecims. The Prescriber Initiative Approval Status page will show any records of prescribers who, when they went to approve patients against an initiative, selected the "and all future patients." If they did not choose the all future patients, there will not be a record listed. So let me go ahead and choose a initiative and filter down. Any prescribers that have made that selection of future approval status, then they'll be listed here. You do have edit, view, and delete options. And because there may be a time when, say, a prescriber contacts you and says, oh, I didn't mean to, select all future patients. you can delete or edit this record. Viewing history will just show any changes to the approval status. As with all of our filtering in Ecims, it always does active. So to see any changes, you would have to change the filter options above. Let's say I do want to delete this approve log because the provider wants to review their patients moving forward. When the pop-up comes up, you do have to put in some comments, and obviously this is helpful for others who are looking at the same initiative or working with the same prescriber. So when you choose the delete button, it will submit and it will remove this record from the initiative. Alternatively, you can just choose to edit, and let's say the prescriber for some other reason wanted to deny all the patients against this initiative, or there's just some other changes. You have those options to do that as well. You can filter the list by prescriber. So I'm going to go ahead and search my prescriber initiative approval status page with a prescriber name added as well. And so that specifically shows me that my prescriber has approved all for this particular initiative. You may want to add a prescriber approval status to an initiative. After you click the Add New Prescriber Initiative Approval, go ahead and select your initiative from the drop-down. It defaults to Future, and then select the approval status. So if the prescriber does want all his future patients on this particular initiative to be approved, then you would use this feature to add them to an initiative if they hadn't already. What will happen is the next time there's a data mining process and additional patients are loaded against this initiative, any patient associated with this prescriber would automatically be approved. I've successfully added my record. Now let's go check. We're going to check on a different one where we added the prescriber's approval, and just to confirm that the prescriber we added is added to our initiative with approve all future patients. That is the prescriber initiative approval status page. The member initiative type status is a global setting. Applies to individual patients. So a type status will exclude them from certain initiatives that they may have been included in. So for example, if they are incapable of splitting tablets, you might want to have a status set up for the members so they are excluded from those types of initiatives. I've typed in an MRN and selected filter, but no match was found. So my particular member, I do want to exclude them. So I first select the type of exclusion, whole tablet to a half tablet. I've typed in their MRN, and when I hit tab, Ecims will take a couple seconds to validate a correct MRN was entered. And then their name appears in the gray field. The next thing I need to do is select the denial status. So the member has denied, and the source of the denial. It may come directly from the prescriber or your outpatient pharmacist or the member directly. In any case, we're going to say the prescriber wants to add this initiative type. So we're doing the same thing where we're typing in the prescriber's name, and the same fields are always editable, the date and time that we want to mark this as a record. So the denial reason is incapable. So I'm going to then choose the Add New Member Initiative Type status. So when I click on there, you'll see the green bar tells me I've successfully added this denial. So the next time an initiative that uses this type is submitted in Ecims, this member, if they applied to it, would be excluded. So they would not be eligible for the conversion based on this initiative type status that has been entered. At any point, you can edit this type status, or you can delete it. The green bar indicates your successful submission. So therefore that initiative type status has been deleted and the patient would be included for future initiatives. So just remember, member initiative type status is a global setting that applies to all initiatives. The Export Failed Conversion Report will export an Excel file of any records that may have failed to load against an initiative. So I'm going to select the drop down, and if my initiative is listed, I'm going to select it and then hit the Export button. This will launch the Windows loading, which will then launch my Excel program once I hit Open. The Excel document that appears has various column headers. The main one to look for is the error message. This will explain what happened to this prescription. You may need to adjust the text field for the original KPRX number to get the full number, but once you do, you can use this information and go back and correct or manually enter the member to an initiative if that's what the error is related to. There's all different kinds of errors that may appear, and this is the purpose of the Export Failed Conversion Report. Not all initiatives will be listed, only those that have errors will appear. When working in the Ecims application, the system will time you out after approximately 14 minutes of inactivity. You will be presented with a session expiration warning. You can click OK to continue. However, if you did not see that message in time, the system will log you out as expired, and you can just simply re-log in using your single sign-on. This concludes the DEC Clinical Pharmacist Training Demo for Ecims. Reference the Ecims DEC Clinical Pharmacist handout for more details or information. Please contact your Regional Drug Utilization Management team for any questions related to initiatives or patient or prescriber data. Should you experience any system issues while working in the Ecims application, please report those to the National Pharmacy Help Desk, the same as you would with EPIMS. Thank you.